Hello, everyone. This is Sasha with the LTRC. Thank you for joining us for 11 Habits of Successful Small to Solo Law Firms in the Digital Age with our sponsor, Leap, as part of the LTRC Industry Insights Series held every Wednesday. Our speakers today are Erica Reynolds and Kevin Bridges. Both are business development managers at Leap. Erica has been assisting small law firms for almost 2 years now by making their business goals come to fruition. Erica loves collaborating with firm owners to see where they can cut down on costs and ultimately earn a greater profit by utilizing technology to its fullest effort. Kevin is also a business development manager. He's worked in software for about 7 years, and he now lives in Midtown Manhattan for about 2 years. He's a big sports fan and as well as a music lover. Thank you all for joining us. We'll now begin the webinar.
Good. So thank you again, Sasha and the ABA for having us today. We're very excited to speak on our 11 habits of successful small law firms. I don't know about you, Kevin. I am located in New Jersey right now, no longer living in Manhattan because of COVID. So I am home with my sisters and my family. Where are you located right now?
I'm doing the same, actually. I live in Midtown, but visiting family in Florida. So
Ooh.
Thankfully was able to get out of town.
Lucky you. I'm sure you're enjoying that beautiful weather.
I am.
Okay, awesome. Well, since we have a limited time today, let's just get right into it. So I'm just going to give everybody a little bit of a Leap intro. So for those of you who haven't heard of Leap before, our mission is to help the attorneys who help the people by providing modern practice management software to help you run your business. We've been helping firms since 1992 to run their businesses more efficiently and profitably, and have been providing cloud services for well over 13 years. So in May last year, Leap entered a joint venture with LexisNexis to provide Time Matters and PC Law clients with an easy transition to Leap's cloud solution. So after evaluating all providers, LexisNexis named Leap the best-in-class cloud solution. So we look at software as being more than just record-keeping software. It's a business tool for you to achieve your goals, run and grow your business, and help your clients. So let's get started with today's webinar. And again, today's webinar is on our 11 habits for successful law firms in the digital age. We released our first version of the 11 habits several years ago, but with everything that has changed so suddenly with the global pandemic, we decided to redo them in light of current events. So you might notice we haven't said working from home once here, because we all know this is going to be short-lived. What's changed though is working digitally and the long-term impacts it will have on the way you run your firm, manage staff, and the way you interact with your clients. And these are the 11 habits we will cover today. I'm sure most of these habits seem like common sense, but that also makes sense too, because these are actions we tend to take for granted rather than make our focus. The tendency is to say, I know that. The secret is to actually do it. So following this webinar, we will send you the 11 habits white paper, which includes checklists for the habits to help you review your processes. And let's get started with habit 1. Decide to be efficient. For most small law firms, your survival depends upon efficiency. Without efficiency, it is possible for you to survive if you work every night and probably weekends too, but that's just not a sustainable model for a happy life. Efficiency is how you make more money and gives you a competitive advantage against other firms who are not as efficient. So as a managing partner, you need to make a commitment to be efficient and lead your staff. So Kevin, how do you become more efficient?
Well, Erica, I'd say the easiest way is using effective technology, and then ensuring that those tools are actually being used effectively. Many firms think that putting their effort first into bookkeeping is a good place to start. With my experience with law firms, I personally think that because revenue is generated by attorneys, it would make a lot more sense to start with making your attorneys as productive as possible. A great place to start with making your attorneys more productive is actually how they record their time. We all know time is your stock. If you don't capture time accurately, you are essentially working for free. You need software that captures your time as you work. because the way you work isn't the same as how you worked 20 years ago. Now we have emails, we have cell phones and tablets. You can text with your clients. And if you're still trying to track time the same way that you did 20 years ago on a letter, it's probably time to reevaluate. Technology has changed and allows for far more advanced ways of tracking your time. And success starts with having every attorney in your firm, accurately record their time every single day. Next, I'd say would come is probably with producing your documents. Having attorneys produce documents efficiently can deliver some pretty big returns on their time. This is achieved by integrating your case management system with your document templates so that you enter case information once, you find your template quickly, it populates with all of the relevant case information, which eliminates a lot of duplicate data entry. And then you're able to easily share those documents for review with others in the office. And even when the internet is down, attorneys and staff still need to be able to produce documents in order to be productive.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. So this is now leading us into habit 2, which is an incredibly important one, which is to be an early adopter in the use of technology. To be blunt, if your firm doesn't keep up with technology, you will get passed by.
Yeah, absolutely. A great example here is banks. Less than 20 years ago, all banking was performed inside of an actual, brick and mortar bank. If you fast forward today, almost all business and personal banking is done online. I can probably count on one hand the number of times I've actually stepped foot inside of an actual bank in the last few years. So banks that didn't, move and adapt with technology to provide their clients with online services, probably have gone out of business. And for firms who aren't able to adapt, this will likely be their future as well. So leaders of successful law firms are always looking for ways to use technology to provide better, faster, and more consistent service. And you should be using technology to focus on these things. The first is having a single database to run your cases, your case management, your time recording, your billing, your trust and accounting all in one application. It's simply inefficient and expensive to try and connect applications together from different vendors. Next I'd say is having a library of highly automated legal forms, letters, and agreements to maintain consistency and provide accurate documents for everyone in the office very quickly. Next I'd say is recording every activity as you go, whether you time record it or not, so that you can bill accurately and at the same time comply with your legislated record keeping obligations. And additionally is using programs that make communication easier with your staff and your clients. There's Zoom, there's Slack, Microsoft Teams, you have FaceTime and WebEx. And for many of you that likely already have a Microsoft Office 365 license, you may not be using it to its full capabilities. I know many of the firms that I've met with recently aren't using Microsoft Teams, even though they have access to it. Also, you should be providing a great online client portal so that clients can feel involved in their cases, as well as knowing your numbers, whichever are the most important to your firm. And we'll touch on this a bit more later with Habit 11. So if you don't have systems that give you these tools, it's time for a review, as there are better ways to work. By running on a cloud-based system, tech-savvy law firms can use their computers at home and their smartphones and their tablets to work nearly exactly the same way as they do in the office.
And Kevin, being an early adopter of technology doesn't stop at the systems that you use. So with social distancing and you don't have, your physical office space anymore or face-to-face meetings and networking events to build awareness of your firm, you need more far active marketing. And the easiest way to navigate these changes is to use social media. And I've seen some firms do this very well recently. You have multiple platforms to connect with existing and potential clients, Facebook groups, or posts on LinkedIn, and it's free and effective way for you to build your thought leadership.
Yeah, exactly. And best of all, technology will allow you to have more free time for your personal life and your hobbies, whether that's going to the gym, it's golf, bird watching, whatever it might be. And additionally, it'll allow you more time with your friends and family. So instead of having to go back to the office to catch up on documents, you can simply do it at home.
And sorry, folks, I skipped ahead to habit 3. So we were just wrapped up habit 2. So habit 3 is enjoy practicing law. So I won't spend too much time on this point, as the name says it all, but you can't succeed if you don't enjoy what you are doing. Always remember why you got into practicing law and what you enjoy the most about practicing. Most attorneys we meet with don't like administrative work, and I don't blame them. They'd rather help their clients or manage their firm. And if this is you, figure out what changes you can make to make this all possible. Which then brings us to habit 4, employ smart people and treat them well. With more staff working in isolation from home now, and how you interact with your staff is more important than ever. Your staff are your biggest single expense other than yourself, and the successful firms that we work with treat their staff exceptionally well.
Of course, and from what I've personally seen, they don't just pay their staff well, although they frequently do. Their staff also have up-to-date equipment, they have fantastic software, and they can work anywhere. You simply cannot attract or keep great staff unless you provide them with the best tools. I mean, if you can imagine that if you're a pilot, would you rather join an airline that has new planes or a 20-year-old airplane? The same applies to smart graduates. Providing your staff with the very best tools enables them to do their job better and will ensure that they're happy and effective employees. And simply put, happier staff leads to better client service. Successful law firms are also committed to staff training. They know the more that you train staff, the more they can do for you. Most staff love being given more responsibility. They like doing more interesting work. And clearly, the more time that you can delegate to them, the more profitable your firm's going to be.
Absolutely, Kevin. Well said. So that is now bringing us onto habit 5, which is select the areas of law you like and focus on them. A major cause of stress for attorneys can be accepting instructions in areas of law they're unfamiliar with. As the law is increasingly complex, it's risky and can potentially lead to bad advice and bad outcomes. So Kevin, what should firms do here?
Well, I think there's a few different things the firms can do to be successful. I'd say first would be, develop a deep expertise in your defined areas of law, which will in turn support higher professional fees. Additionally, you can select areas of law that sit together comfortably. For example, like estate planning, estate administration, and matrimonial law. You can also have systems in place to identify and get involved in emerging areas of law that you can capitalize. You can also create a great reputation for the work that you do, which will, of course, attract more profitable work. You can ensure your marketing is aligned with the services that you're providing, as well as have research materials available to help in your specializations. And I'd say lastly is to go and actually mentor young attorneys and paralegals, as this will pay dividends in the long term. One of the great advantages of the legal profession is that it's possible to build a pretty recession-proof business. One way to do this is to make sure that you have multiple revenue streams to cushion you when the economy changes. So you can also choose to practice in areas of law that will be counter-cyclical or which are consistent no matter what happens to the economy. For example, like family law and estates are two that generally tend to perform pretty consistently. You can be adaptable to economic changes. The most successful firms that I've worked with during the economic downturn of 2008 were able to slightly change their business, and by continuing to work in their specialist areas, they were also able to be more adaptable too. For example, if they practiced real estate, they focused on foreclosure work. If they specialized in family law, they acknowledged that there was going to be an increase in divorce rates that came with the economic stresses and changed their systems to become more efficient. Firms around the world right now are being challenged in 2020 to make similar choices, but unfortunately in profoundly more complex circumstances. So you're going to want to think strategically and understand what's going around you and in your local market so that you can more easily pivot and adapt quickly.
And that brings us to habit 6. Dedicate time to building the firm as a business and take the time to care for yourself as well. The leaders of successful firms understand that building a firm takes time. They delegate work effectively so they have time to work on their business. And I would say you should probably aim to spend about 20% of your time focusing on non-legal business activities. And this is to ensure the growth of your business. There's the old saying that failing to plan is planning to fail. And successful firms have a clear vision for where they want to go and how they're going to get there.
Exactly. And one important step is realizing that relying on word of mouth to build the business is not an actual strategy. It's essential to build a good reputation, of course, but to build a business, you need to act and you need to have a plan. You need to go out to the market and actually sell your firm. And what we've seen leaders of successful small firms do is properly package and market their services. They'll write topical articles, they will run Q&A sessions, as well as build important relationships. Some of these that we discussed in Habit 2.
And Kevin, it's also important to remember with social distancing and isolation and everything that everyone's been through the past few months, it's okay to take breaks and check in with your staff and even yourself.
Absolutely.
So now we're moving on to habit 7. So our next habit is confronting the challenges of getting paid to solve problems. And we just want to dive straight into this one, as I think it's one of the most important habits we've discussed today, and look at how to get paid faster with less disputes.
For sure. And the first step is really to ensure that there's an appropriate and signed retainer agreement for every case, and that you stick precisely to what's in that retainer in regards to the billing and payments. And that may mean that you may have to cease work beyond the scope of the agreement, and that's fine. You can just provide a revised retainer agreement. Additionally, you're going, whenever possible, get a retainer upfront, and then set monthly payment expectations from the start so the bills don't get out of hand. Additionally, you'll want to make sure that every activity of every attorney is contemporaneously recorded into a system so that you can manage their matters properly and bill accurately. You'll also want to bill regularly for small amounts, never letting that debt get too out of control, as well as make sure that every matter is billed as soon as you're legally entitled to bill, and request retainer top-ups, when necessary. Do not operate under the illusion that unbilled time is income. It actually needs to be billed. You'd be amazed at how often we run into this problem, and it causes partners a lot of headaches. You can also make sure that the same rules apply to every attorney in the firm, irrespective of seniority. And lastly, I'd say make it easy for clients to make payments online. If you're able to address these challenges, you can bill more and you will also get paid faster.
So on to habit 8, have standard processes and procedures in place for all matters. If we did this webinar in February, I probably would have started by talking about some of the disorganization I've physically seen at firms. So whether that was physical files on cabinets, files on the floor, overflowing bookcases, you name it, I've seen it. But that reality has quickly changed. As things have shifted to a completely digital workplace, it is critically important not to replace that physical chaos with digital chaos. Implement the same systems and processes for everyone at the firm. Successful firms are so organized that anyone, no matter where they're located, can literally pick up a digital case and understand it because the firm has had a standard approach.
So how do you get organized and implement consistent processes and procedures across your firm? I'd say a great place to start is to have one central database for client and matter information. You cannot be efficient if your starting point is always wondering if the case information you're looking at is accurate and up to date, or even worse, you can't even find the information to begin with. Your goal should be to operate out of one database with everybody saving case documents the exact same way. You should also have one way of opening a new client file, and make sure that everyone accesses every client file the same way with no exceptions. You should also have all standard documents be electronically organized and easily available for everyone in the office. Additionally, have online client collaboration. Ensure that there's a client portal for all staff to communicate with all clients, and that make sure that's available for clients 24 hours a day so that they can access it on their own time. And then I'd say, lastly, standardize your billing procedures and don't deviate from them. When these good processes are being used, attorneys can devote most of their time to practicing law because they don't have to spend time on their administrative work, which I know they'd all prefer.
That was funny, Kevin. So that brings us to habit 9, make compliance a natural consequence of running a firm well. So this is an extension from the habit we just talked about, and it's having professional rules in place for all facets of your firm, from how a file is managed to how an attorney conducts themselves and how trust money is handled. And it's not just creating procedures, it's about ensuring everybody in the firm complies with the rules and uses good judgment. Which brings us to habit 10, become an expert in client experience. We've hinted at this already, but the foundation of good client experience is just 2 simple factors: clear communication and building a strong rapport from the first meeting. This comes from your leadership and the interactions your client has with everyone at your practice. So when you deliver outstanding client service, you have happy clients who are eager to refer their friends to you. So Kevin, what changes can you make to client experience now that you're really not meeting with clients face to face as often?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say the first is with the digital practice, as many of you already know, your client interactions are now going to be online by phone or by video. At least many more of them. That's slowly going to be changing here. But how you adapt to this is key for both new and as well as existing clients. Additionally, social media is going to be vitally important to building your firm and become an integral part of the new client experience. For example, on LinkedIn, the content that you post, and that you share can help boost your firm's leadership to current as well as potential clients. And personally, I've seen some firms doing this exceptionally well recently. I've seen several partners sitting at their kitchen or in their dining room providing useful knowledge in videos online. For example, I saw a personal injury attorney advising why you shouldn't cancel your car insurance even though you may not be driving right now. Or even I saw an estate planning attorney discussing how to update your will when you can't leave your home. Activity like this will showcase your expertise. Using social media in conjunction with a well-designed online client portal means that you can provide all your clients and your potential clients with digital access to your firm at a convenient time for them. Best of all, these self-service portals allow your clients to complete intake forms, they can book appointments, they can pay their bills, they can view their financial history, see their outstanding balances, as well as read and comment on documents that you've shared with them, all on their own time.
And Kevin, for what you just said, I just wanted to quickly mention there was a firm that I met with that was about to hire a new assistant to do exactly what an online client portal does. So managing phone calls for payments, the calendar, you name it. And with the client portal, they didn't need to hire the assistant that they were planning on, and instead hired another paralegal to help with their caseload, which helped drive revenue. So I think, this video right now encompasses that all.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And we are now at habit 11, our last habit, which is understanding the finances of your firm. While it may not be common for attorneys to be trained in business and financial management, running a small law firm is no different from running any other business. To truly be successful, you need to understand the finances of your firm. Your most important source of working capital or cash flow is the revenue generated from legal work. With stable working capital, you have choices. Without it, you have stress and uncertainty about the future. So stable working capital comes from the following. Guarantee that you have a retainer in place to cover all initial fees and expenses. Ensure that every activity is accurately and immediately recorded. This is a point I want to stress because failure to accurately record billable work is the single biggest source of revenue loss in every law firm we have encountered. Ensure that bills are generated as soon as appropriate and actually sent. Ensure that everyone in the firm, without exception, including partners, generates bills using the same system. Make it easy for clients to pay using modern online payment methods. And follow up debt to ensure it is paid on time.
Yeah, and because you and I see this all the time, Erica, I really want to emphasize point 2. And that's really just to show you how much revenue you're potentially missing out on. If your billable hour is $350 and you capture just an additional 1/10 of an hour per day, that equals an additional $770 of revenue per month that you're missing out on. And that's just for one attorney on work that's already being done. Over the course of a year, that's of $9,000 or almost a week that you're essentially working for free. So think about how easy it is to make a call on your cell phone or reply to an email and forget to record it. This work does add up. With a good understanding of revenue, successful firms also understand which matters are the most profitable. Now, measuring matter profitability isn't easy. The only way to do it is by keeping accurate time records for every case, whether it's billable or not. You'll be able to measure the time spent on the case against what the client actually paid, then measure it against the base cost of the attorney providing the legal advice. And once you have this information and it's accurate, you can then review your attorney's performance and identify areas where you can increase your efficiencies.
And lastly, while it's true that no firm has ever saved their way to success, successful leaders are also obsessive about understanding and maintaining cost controls and are particularly careful about managing their expenses. Client costs are so easily incurred, yet if you forget to bill them, that's money coming straight out of your pocket.
So these are the 11 habits that we've observed in many successful practices over the years, and also most recently in firms that have easily adapted to a digital practice. It's important to remember that transformation takes time and it takes action, but you have to act first. Following this webinar, we'll email everyone a copy of the white paper so that you can have the action steps yourself to start developing these habits right away. And then if you're interested in reviewing the technology you use and how Leap can help your practice, Eric and I would be more than happy to arrange an online meeting to discuss your needs on how Leap can assist you. Additionally, for attending this webinar, you can start using Leap for only $29 per month for the first 3 months. All we need is an order by the end of the month to secure the discount. So if you have interest, please let us know and we'd be happy to meet with you. So thanks for joining Erica and myself and the Leap team for this meeting, and I'll pass it back over to Sasha.
One more time, we'd like to say thank you to our sponsor, Leap, and everyone for attending the webinar today. If anyone's curious about future webinars, please check out the ABA LTRC page or follow our Twitter at LTRC for updates. One more thank you to Erica and Kevin for their presentation. We'll now conclude the webinar. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sasha.
See ya.
Thank you.